This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
US President Joe Biden cancels his international trip to PNG. Petition on 31 to UK to be delivered. And 2 political parties receive certificates. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. United States President Joe Biden has cancelled his visit stop not only to Papua New Guinea but Australia as well. This is so that he can focus on debt limit talks in Washington. According to US News, the country pushes closer to a crisis over the need to raise its legal borrowing limit. Therefore, Biden remains in America to sort out the country's debt up to almost $31 trillion. He said at a start of a Jewish American Heritage Month event at the White House that he has postponed the Australia portion of the trip and his stop in Papua New Guinea in order to be back for the final negotiations with congressional leaders. Meantime, one of the main pointers that is included in the petition that will be delivered tomorrow includes an investigation into the number of people who travelled to London for the King's coronation. Secretary for Anti-Corruption Movement for Change, Dilu Okuk, made this known.
Upon the 3 petitions that will be delivered tomorrow during the sit-in protest, the Congress will ask for an investigation into the allowances paid to the number of people who travelled.
There is a breach of the leadership code. Public funds have been misused on this trip to London. 31 people have travelled. That needs to be justified.
The Trade Union Congress will host a sit-in protest at their Korobosea office to deliver 3 petitions to the Prime Minister James Marape, Ombudsman Commission and Immigration and Citizenship Authority, respectively. President of the Police Union, Loa Tambua, took the opportunity to appeal to fellow policemen and women.
Me appeal to all policemen, Mary Blomni, me President Blo Yupla. Toksala, you are also workers, but you have the responsibility on your shoulders. Safety, well-being of publics, school children, mothers, everyone paramount. Also, bear in mind you are patriotic, and this is your land, this is your country, and we've been branded as such.
Acting Secretary General Anton Sukum further appealed to the general public, including members of the Trade Union Congress, to make an attempt to attend the sit-in protest tomorrow in anticipation to deliver the 3 petitions.
If your employer penalizes you for standing up for this national cause by not turning up at work, please report to us. Report your case to the Trade Union Congress, and we will take your case on your behalf. Take note of that. This is your country. Show your support, show your solidarity.
The PNG Trade Union Congress is made up of members of the PNG Nurses Association, PNG Police Union, PNG Allied Health Workers Association, PNG Bankers Association, PNG Airlines Union Workers, PNG Energy Workers Union and Public Employees Association, amongst others. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Police in the nation's capital, Port Moresby, will not allow any public protest or demonstration marches, especially at this time when world leaders will be coming into the country. This was revealed by NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Silva Sika in a statement released late yesterday afternoon.
The police boss in the city explained that he has received a letter from the Trade Union Congress requesting police to grant approval for a planned protest march, which was supposed to be staged today. Metsubsika has declined their request, adding that police will not allow any protest march or demonstration marches for that matter as the country prepares to receive world leaders into the capital, Port Moresby, in the coming days. Sika said police in the NCD command will be working closely with the communities in the suburbs to ensure peace and good order is maintained right across the city. Meantime, MTV News caught up with the Trade Union Congress representatives just after midday today. They have abided by the instructions issued to them to stop the protest march. However, a sit-in protest will be staged tomorrow. The union's acting General Secretary, Anton Sekum, talks more on this.
The protest will go ahead, not in a form of marching, but we will be conducting a sit-in protest tomorrow, 18th of May, at the Trade Union Congress office.
Supporting this move also was the president of PNG Nurses Association, Frederick Kebai.
As a rep of the health sector workers at Trade Union Congress, I'm appealing to all the health workers throughout the country to show that solidarity so that our demand to the Prime Minister is heard.
In support also was the Secretary for Anti-Corruption Movement for Change, Dilu Okuk.
So our petition will be presented tomorrow, and we invite the Prime Minister and the respective government agencies to attend. We will require 24 hours for him to respond to the nationwide petition.
Petitions have been prepared and the union is expecting Prime Minister James Marape, Ombudsman Commissioner Richard Pagan and Chief Migration Officer Stanis Hulahau to receive the petitions at the Trade Union Office tomorrow at 10 a.m. Lindy Suharupa, National MTV News.
Two newly registered political parties officially received their certificates of registration today from the Acting Registrar of Political Parties, Dr. Emmanuel Pork, today. The two new parties are National Development Party and the People's Guided Party, which now brings the total of registered political parties to 56.
Political parties have long held its place alongside politics in PNG, from the founding ruling Pangu Party to the more modern parties like National Alliance Party and Allegiance Party. Today, the National Development Party and the People's Guided Democratic Party added their names to the list of political parties active in PNG, with the Acting Registrar of Political Parties using the occasion to remind the new political parties to make themselves visible through activities that they are supposed to be undertaking.
Some political parties' policies are outdated. They are not relevant to Papua New Guinea at this time and age. And some political parties have policies which we have worked with political parties since 2012, and we've been, encouraging political parties to revise their policies. We've seen some political parties who have policies that can't be achieved in the next maybe 50 years for Papua New Guinea.
First to receive the certificate of registration was the National Development Party, which is backed by the Neville family from Allentown, with NDP President Peter Neville speaking of the theme of the party and its policies. The Neville family is no stranger to politics, having spent their entire life here in PNG. The roots go back as far as their father Ron Neville holding a seat during the first elections in the House of Assembly in 1964.
So as you look around, I don't have to point fingers at anybody, but you'll see a lot of the SMEs that are talked about are being run by foreigners. And here I stand with white skin talking about foreigners. The difference is I was born in Papua New Guinea. I've lived in my life in Papua New Guinea. I'm married in Papua New Guinea.
The second party to receive the certificate of registration today was the People's Guided Democracy Party, and they celebrated with traditional costumes, making it an occasion to remember. Party founder Mark Saron stated that the party's interest is to look after our own interests. He said for far too long, Papua New Guineans have become beggars on their own land.
We want to make sure that our interest on our traditional land is protected at all costs. We have given away our resources to the foreigners to come and ride on us, and they've been manipulating us, and we become a victim of those decisions that was handed down by certain political parties.
Mr. Saron said we need guided democracy because with democracy, the nation has lost its way. He added that it's not to scare anyone, but democracy has allowed foreigners to run the interests of the country. Rocky Iso, National MTV News.
Reliable energy and power supply is a crucial component that suburbs, towns, cities, factories and even workspaces demand in Papua New Guinea. Restoring power. Energy was the topic discussed yesterday in a bid to kill blackouts and achieve reliable power supply. This was discussed at the 38th PNG Australia Business Forum and Trade Expo in Port Moresby.
Restoring reliable energy requires strategies put in place for performance by companies such as PNG Power Limited, New Power and other power companies in PNG. During the session held yesterday, PNG Power Limited CEO Obed Bhatia spoke on the strategies used to improve power supply services nationwide.
We rehabilitate the Warano Electro, 10 megawatts is currently in operation. We rehabilitate Miala and also Ramo Vesa, BESS, and Port Moresby BESS. We have BESS and solar systems. That's another generation plant we try to introduce to regulate the system. Our batteries, our generators cannot respond quickly to the fault. That is why we're introducing the battery solar coming in so that they can steadily respond.
He stressed on the illegal connections aspect.
Illegal connections, we have a partner with USA partners. We work on supporting us with smart meters and also amnesty program and feeder management concept.
Although it is a big challenge for PNG Power, they are receiving support from solar company, the Estra Solar Limited. This was alluded to by CEO Christian Lobega.
By not having more solar on the grid, we see that PPL revenue is throttled because at the moment they can't really meet demand. So we have scheduled outages worksheeting and we have unscheduled outages which have acted with more aggressively. When that happens, there's no revenue for PPL. People switch to their generators and they're not buying their money through the easy pay meter and they're not paying PPL. So a more reliable grid would be benefit to everyone involved.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Police in West New Britain Province and the Kimber District Court officials have destroyed exhibit and drugs worth 2 million kina. These drugs were exhibits confiscated from offenders between the months of March to November of 2022.
These exhibits were to be destroyed after 30 days as required by the district court. However, most of these exhibits have gone past the destruction's date. The exhibits include marijuana, homemade guns, and ammunition. The guns and ammunition were dumped into the sea. Between March and November of last year, 32 offenders were convicted of being in possession of drugs and sentenced to prison with terms ranging from 3 to 10 years. Officer in charge, CID Senior Sergeant Alex Isove, gave a brief on what has transpired.
So all these suspects and accused have already been convicted for various offences such as homemade guns, in possession of unlicensed firearm and ammunition, and also for drugs. So they've been sentenced and convicted between 3 years and 10 years. So because of the backlog of cases and storage room within the Kimber District Court, we had to dispose of some of the exhibits.
3 offenders were convicted for being in possession of homemade guns and ammunition and were sentenced to prison serving between 1 to 6 years. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
The Catholic Professional Society of PNG President Paul Hariknen today announced a visit of the dynamic deacon Harold Burke Sivas to Papua New Guinea for 3 days. The dynamic deacon will host meetings and evangelizing rallies with different target groups to address the fast-growing norms of anti-Christian movements around the world.
Expressing the need for Papua New Guinea to have a good sense of direction as to where the country is going with divine intervention, Hariknen elaborated on the importance of the deacon's visit, which will take place on the 10th to the 14th of June.
People are losing hope. People are giving up. But then, as a faith people and as a faith community, we have to rise above this. We have to ignite, inspire our people that despite all these struggles, I think we have someone who is bigger and higher that we can find our strength and our support.
The evangelical rallies the deacon will focus on would include leadership within the nation as well as the church, youth empowerment as Christians in a time of ever-increasing worldly secularism and materialism, and faith building. Hariknen said from the United States of America, Deacon Harold is one of the most sought-after Catholic public speaker and author and is well known among the Catholic faithful, as this is the first time a Catholic evangelist is being invited to address Christians in PNG. He makes an open invite to all concerned parties to attend.
We invite all our people in the country, especially those in Port Moresby, because he will only come to Port Moresby because of the time we can only make it in Port Moresby. Those from other provinces are most welcome to find their own way and come and listen to this man.
A finalized program and the official venue of the event will be confirmed in the lead-up to the deacon's arrival. The Catholic Professional Society of PNG expects to host more than 10,000 attendees to the evangelical meeting. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, with the country expecting visits from world leaders in the coming days, the Catholic Professional Society of PNG President Paul Hariknen urged the government to not turn a blind eye to the ever-present geopolitical superpower rivalry.
Commenting on whether PNG is ready to host world leaders in the historic upcoming visit to the country, Hariknen says the question people should really be asking in this regard is what the occasion would bring.
I think the big question for us as country and as citizens is, what do they bring? What do they bring to Papua New Guinea? What do they bring to the people of this country? Are we just a sandwich in the geopolitics of these global movements of superpowers?
Hariknen said that this is a question concerning PNG's sovereignty. He says this in reference to the country's experience in World War II, a war in which PNG did not ask for but had to be a part of anyway. He urged the government to be wary of geopolitical rivalry that may be at play.
And our question to our leaders is, we hope they are conscious, they are aware of this geopolitics.
Hariknen stressed that this is a grave concern for Papua New Guinea as a country, and the government should be aware of the benefits involved as well as the impacts attached.
If you ask, some of us, that's our concern. And I can speak for my members in the Catholic professionals and those who follow us. All I can say is our government, we may be ready to host. We remind the government to be fully conscious of the benefits, the real benefits, the long-term benefits of entertaining geopolitical superpower rivalry.
Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
The Port Moresby General Hospital joins the rest of the world by commemorating the World Hypertension Day at 3 Mile in Port Moresby. Important preventative message and how to deal with patients experiencing hypertension were disseminated during the ceremony.
The commemoration of the World Hypertension Day saw the hospital staff taking the initiative to go through the blood pressure check and were given the chances to ask questions centered on the topic of hypertension. This serves as a reminder to other citizens as to how important it is to get checked at least once or twice a week to know your status. Director of Sir Burikidu Heart Clinic spoke on the hypertension impact on the society.
It's called lifestyle disease. And in the lifestyle disease, the number one condition is called stroke. And guess what? The number one cause of that stroke is called hypertension, followed by coronary artery disease, heart attack, followed by diabetes and kidney problems and kidney failures and so on. Like I said, these are very new diseases. I understand the message today from the World International Hypertension Society or whatever. They are saying that everybody should take their own blood pressure.
Sir Kone urged citizens to invest in their health and should purchase their own blood pressure machine to help themselves.
So prevention is better than cure. So I would like to leave the message that yes, if you can take your blood pressure every week or every month, that would be good. Share that with your family members. If you've got a father and a mother who is in your house, you better take them. In my house, we got 2 blood pressure machines.
One of the medical officers spoke on how best people can avoid getting hypertension.
Hypertension, as we know, is a very serious health issue, and in the world today, there's about 1 in every 4 person has high blood pressure or hypertension. These are some of the things that you can do to reduce the impacts of high blood pressure or to even develop it. Watch your weight. Make sure you have a reasonable weight. Don't put too much weight. Eat healthily. Try to have a lot of vegetables and fruits in your diet. Avoid a lot of salty food. Try to do minimum exercise every day. At least try to move. We see that a lot of people develop high blood pressure when they have a lifestyle that is sedentary. They're not moving. They're just sitting in offices in their house. They put on a lot of weight, and that leads to high blood pressure. And also avoid, most importantly, avoid stress in your life. Try to.
Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2830 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2755 US, $0.4111 Australian dollars, $0.2460 euro, 37.15 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading higher, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed higher, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Port Moresby General Hospital have established an awareness committee to educate the population on the services the hospital provides and disseminate information on how best people can look after themselves. This was revealed today during the commemoration ceremony of the World Hypertension Day in Port Moresby.
Awareness is important when it comes to educating the people on how best they can avoid getting lifestyle diseases. Port Moresby General Hospital has taken the lead to establish an awareness committee to educate the people. Speaking on the role of the committee is the chairman of the committee, Dr. Benjamin Dahour.
Thank you. The committee is pretty new. It's the PMGH, or the Port Moresby General Hospital Awareness Committee. It's been set up basically to help get out into the community and talk about what services we have available, and also talk about common diseases that are affecting our people, particularly in this city, also around the country, since we are the main referral hospital for the country.
Dr. Dahour highlighted that discussions are currently underway to carry out public health awareness outside of the hospital, targeting the schools.
In talks basically to probably do 1 or 2 awarenesses outside of the hospital. This is still in talks, it's still early days, but we're hoping to get out probably in the schools and talk about different things, different services we have, whether it be hypertension, like what we discussed today, or stroke, or issues affecting children or family planning. Because we have so many services available, it would be good for us to probably box them all into an event and then talk to especially the kids in school about all these things, because then they can talk to their parents, talk to their siblings, their cousins. So.
Dr. Dahour highlighted that such awareness committee is vital as they have the potential impact to reducing the number of patients suffering from the lifestyle diseases.
Has been concentrating more on curative medicine, meaning that all the patients that come in. So we're concentrating on whoever's sick and coming in, but I think it's about time that we also think about the potential patients that we can prevent from coming in. So preventable diseases like lifestyle diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, those are things, even like unplanned pregnancies, teenage pregnancies. Those are issues that we can go out into the community and talk about so that we can hopefully prevent that from happening.
Dr. Dahour added that such approach is commendable and other hospitals across the country should tap into it. Sharon Engnui, National EMTV News.
The PHA Health Assurance Company Limited has assured nurses across the country that their insurance is still covered by PHA until the 31st of December 2023. This announcement was made today by the country managing director for PHA, John Elisa, in a press conference in Port Moresby.
In the press conference today, PHA was responding to a statement made by the president of PNG Nursing Association, Frederick Kebai, stating that PNG-NA has terminated their contract with PHA. Country manager for PHA, John Elisa, elaborated.
Nurses Association president mentioned something about, apart from everything he has mentioned, he talked about a terminating insurance cover, okay? And we, PHA, are the current insurance company. PHA Health Assurance is the current policy holder, insurer, for the policy holders, the PNG nurses throughout the country.
Mr. Elisa said the nurses' insurance is covered till December 31st of 2023. He said proper discussions must be made before any decision is made.
Make an announcement to all our members that you are still covered. PHA is your insurer, okay? Your insurance still stands up to the 31st of December 2023. And so the announcement made by the PNG Nurses Association president, it was premature and it didn't go through the right process.
He also mentioned that there is a court injunction at the moment on the issue.
A court injunction in place, and for them to go behind what the court will put in place is not right. It will be breach of that, okay? So we want also the media to make known to this, the team or the PNG Nurses Association team that this has to be done properly, and it must be done through the court. Until the court gives its order, then we can do what we have to do. But in
PNG Nurses Association joined PHA in 2019 and has so far registered around 4,000 nurses for the insurance cover. PHA is also looking at extending the insurance cover to nurses' families. PHA Country Manager Mr. Elias said PHA is committed in protecting and serving the Nurses Association. PHA Country Manager Mr. Elias said PHA is committed in protecting and serving the Nurses Association of PNG. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
And moving to overseas news now, the head of the company behind ChatGPT has called for government intervention into the use of artificial intelligence, raising fears about its use for disinformation.
OpenAI chief Sam Altman has told a US Senate hearing of the potential dangers of the emerging technology. He admits the increased use of AI will reshape the economy and likely lead to job losses.
My worst fears are that we, the field, the technology, the industry, cause significant harm to the world. I think that could happen in a lot of different ways. It's why we started the company. It's a big part of why I'm here today. I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong, and we want to be vocal about that. We want to work with the government to prevent that from happening.
Well, I think it's quite simple. If the CEO of the company introducing the technology says that we need more regulation as to how the technology is introduced, if the Australian Human Rights Commissioner says, as she did on Monday, that we need more regulation about how this technology is going to be introduced, we probably need more regulation about how this technology is introduced into our lives.
More than a dozen students were injured in a bus crash. The Royal Children's Hospital revealed some of the children required amputation for crash injuries and others have suspected spinal damage.
9 of those children were admitted here at the Royal Children's Hospital yesterday afternoon following that incident. 7 remain here. Thankfully, 2 have been released. Those who remain here are in a serious condition. 1 is in intensive care. They're all aged between 5 and 11 years old from Exford Primary School in Melbourne's West. Royal Melbourne Hospital CEO Bernadette McDonald says many underwent multiple surgeries throughout the night.
Children have suffered multiple and traumatic injuries, including partial and complete amputations of arms, multiple crush limb injuries, severe lacerations to head and body, head injuries, glass shard injuries, and 3 patients are currently receiving spinal support and being monitored carefully in terms of spinal injuries.
Code Brown was declared following the incident yesterday afternoon, allowing the hospital to call in extra resources, making 4 operating theatres available. Parents have had to wait until the early hours of this morning to be reunited with their children. 45 kids were on board when the truck and bus collided. Video shows the bus rolled on its side, emergency crews pulling out children from hatches in the roof and through a smashed front windscreen. It all happened just before 4 o'clock yesterday in Amesbury, just down the road from their primary school in Melbourne's West. We've also seen fresh footage from that scene showing the wreckage still there. Investigations are continuing and police are questioning the driver of that truck.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The National Rugby League competition, after successfully completing its round 5 matches around the country, will see its round 6 matches take place this weekend in various parts of the country. After successfully kicking off its 2023 season, 5 weeks ago, the National Rugby League competition, having played its round 5 matches successfully in various parts of the country, teams are now preparing to play their round 6 matches this coming weekend. With the National Rugby League competition set to be played in various parts of the country, the games will be played both on Saturday and Sunday. As the competition goes towards the middle of the season, this weekend's draw stands at Mount Hagen Eagles to take on the Muruks, Mioks to play the Lahanis, champions the Lace Necks Tigers will take on the Kimbe Kathas, the new contenders, the EMK Sipic Pride, will take on the NCDC Port Moresby Vipers, while the Central Dabaris will take on the Croton Hella Wigmen and the Gulf Isos to play against the Gurias. These teams will play both on Sunday and Saturday in their respective venues around the country before completing round 6. The Samson Anam kickboxing training taking place at the St. John Guy's Stadium will see the club's first event come in July this year. Having started their training in January this year, the Samson Anam Kickboxing Club, having been training its fighters at the St. John Guy's Stadium in Port Moresby in preparations for the club's first event this year. While many of the fighters are new to the club, many of the young fighters are supported by the senior fighters of the club that have been participating in national and international events, both in PNG and overseas. President of the club, Nelson Sampson, who is also a PNG international rep, who has been representing PNG overseas, is currently guiding the fighters through their training sessions in preparations for the big fight which is expected to take place in July 2023. Some of the fighters' training have come from other parts of the country into Port Moresby. Currently, the club is calling on interested fighters to come forward who wish to participate in the event in July. And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Lae and Popondetta Cricket are gearing up for the PNG Games and Suzuki Cup Challenge in Port Moresby later this year. This follows the successful hosting of the first Lae Kumuls versus Popondetta Butterflies T20 smash over the weekend in Lae. Lae dominated the tournament, fielding 2 men and 2 women's teams, while Popondetta fielded a team in each division over the 4 days tournament ending on Sunday. Lae Gold came out eventual grand final winners over Lae Green in the men, and Popondetta were too strong for Lae Gold, taking out the women's title. The tournament was backed by Theodist PNG Limited.
I was really impressed with the performances, especially for women, African women. With the men, the expectation was the laymen putting up a better performance than Popondetta and of course going back sometime with the rules as well, especially, and we're hoping that CPNG will help them going forward.
The tournament has been very well organized by them, and then from our players, they are also in line with our arrangement in place. I would say that this tournament will be continue in upcoming years to develop our young players and then promote this mode of cricket.
Moving to overseas sports, St. George Illawarra is on hunt for a new coach after sacking Anthony Griffin yesterday.
It follows a string of losses, including a heavy defeat to the Cowboys on Saturday. Roosters assistant and former Dragons player Jason Riles is believed to be the top candidate to replace Griffin. Dragons assistant Ryan Carr will step in as interim coach for the rest of the season.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Moni Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, occasional showers and thunderstorm. Daru, periods of rain and thunderstorm. Kerema, frequent showers and possible thunderstorm. Halatau, partly cloudy with few showers. Popondetta, partly cloudy with brief showers.
Brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Wednesday, the 17th of May, 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.